Nose is an organ. Beauty has morals. I want you to just sit with those two sentences for a second. Think about it. One is a straightforward, undeniable biological fact, right? And the other is this profound, almost startling philosophical claim. But this striking juxtaposition isn't a mistake. It's actually the cornerstone of an incredibly fascinating mind that we are going to explore today.
Okay, let's dive into this. Today, our goal in this explainer is to decode a highly abstract, honestly kind of hypnotic piece of writing titled Excellent Greenery. Now, on its surface, it reads a bit like a cryptic list of fragmented thoughts, but as you're about to see, right beneath the surface of this poetic structure lies a unified, totally robust philosophy. It's one that seamlessly merges personal morality with the super high-stakes world of global policy and transformation. We're going to break down exactly how this writer connects these basic biological dots to the grandest visions of human development.
Section 1. Meet Oluyomi Oladavid.
So Oluyomi Oladavid has a truly multifaceted identity. She is a Nigerian who deeply, fundamentally loves people. But her love isn't just, sentimental. It's highly practical. She focuses her professional energy on global development and transformation. She's a strategist who actively generates solutions and influences policy to provide clarity in really complex situations. And perhaps most importantly, she is profoundly driven by her faith. She describes her Father God as the wheel within my wheels, kind of the ultimate owner and ruler of the universe. When you realize that she approaches these abstract thoughts not just as a poet, but as a global developer and policy strategist, well, her words suddenly take on a whole new level of gravity. Just consider the sheer volume of her contemplation for a moment. 294. That is the wild number of blog posts she published in the year 2023 alone. Seriously, think about the discipline and the constant churning intellectual energy required to produce that amount of work. She is someone who is continuously observing, constantly synthesizing, and relentlessly documenting her insights for the rest of us.
Section 2. The Poetry of Greenery.
To understand that incredible work ethic and really map out the thematic architecture of her work, we're going to deconstruct the poem itself, and this brilliantly illustrates exactly how she operates. Notice the contrast she sets up. On one hand, we have these literal grounding statements. Pillar is a wall, mouth is a tree, referencing everyday biological or physical structures. But then, she pivots instantly to deep philosophical statements. Pearl has owner, love has vision. She's constantly toggling us between the tangible reality we can touch and the intangible moral claims that govern our spirits. She anchors us in the physical world right before launching us into the ethical one.
Section 3. Anatomy and Human Nature. And that brings us perfectly into the first major theme of her work, how she views the human form. Because for Oluyomi, the body isn't just meat and bone. It's practically an instruction manual for how we should live. Check out the recurring motif she uses. She directly links the anatomy of the physical body to the anatomy of morality. She acknowledges the physical, brain is a tool, hand has fingers, ear is a treasure. But she mirrors this directly with the intangible. Prudence has virtue, justice has sides, truth is a balance. It's as if she's telling us that, just as our bodies are structurally designed with a clear purpose, hands for gripping, ears for treasuring sound, our abstract moral concepts are structurally designed too. Justice isn't just some blur, it has defined sides. Truth isn't just an idea, mechanically, it is a balance.
I actually want to focus on these specific lines for a moment. Brain is a tool. Agile is a skill. Think back to her bio we talked about. She is a policy influencer and a solution generator. Here, she makes it crystal clear that she views human capability as something to be actively wielded. The brain isn't just a passive container for thoughts. It's a tool you use to build. Being agile isn't just an innate personality trait you're born with. It's a skill that she believes can be practiced and perfected to solve real global problems.
So, this raises a really vital question for us as we unpack her philosophy. How do these short, almost rhythmic poetic fragments translate into actual global policy and strategy? It's a great question, right? And it pivots us from pure literary analysis right back into her real-world mission of clarity and transformation.
Section 4. Abstract Virtues and Values.
Let's move to and see how this builds as we take a deep dive into her abstract virtues. This is where her policy mindset really begins to show its teeth. Just listen to the deliberate, almost rhythmic pacing of these lines. Justice has sides, truth is a balance, beauty has morals, life is a trust.
If you're out there drafting policy, you absolutely have to understand that justice requires looking at all the sides. You have to understand that truth requires a super delicate balance of facts. You have to recognize that even aesthetics, beauty itself, must be governed by morals. And perhaps most powerfully, life is a trust. I mean, that is the ultimate public service mindset, isn't it? To view life itself not as a possession to hoard, but as a resource entrusted to you to be managed responsibly for the sake of others.
She also repeatedly returns to one very specific word: prudence. Look at how she takes this single concept and just explodes it. First, she looks backward and inward. Prudence has stores, prudence has history. It's all about preparation, right? Learning from the past. But then she expands it massively outward. Prudence has planet, prudence has virtue. She literally scales a personal characteristic into a planetary necessity. In her view, to be prudent isn't just to be careful. It's to be historically informed, deeply virtuous, and globally minded.
Section 5. Objects, Nature, and Life. Having established the body and the virtues, she turns her attention outward. She focuses on the material world and natural elements to teach us how to navigate life. And honestly, these metaphors are incredibly sharp. She uses nature and objects to teach vital lessons about endurance and discipline. Time is a student, meaning it's always observing, always learning from what we do. Desire's a rat. Wow, what a striking image. It implies that unchecked desire just gnaws away at things in the dark. Gold has a furnace, meaning high standards and true value only come through the fires of refinement. An ant is a soldier, reminding us that even the absolute smallest creatures possess immense discipline and order.
And then there is this fascinating evolution of the pearl metaphor that she threads throughout her poem. She builds a continuous step-by-step narrative of value. First, pearl has owner. Value belongs to someone. Then, pearl has tag. Value must be identified and named. Then, pearl has stage. True value actually requires a platform to be seen. And finally, pearl has reception. Value ultimately must be recognized and received by an audience. This is basically a masterclass in how an idea, a solution, or a piece of policy goes from being a hidden gem to an implemented, celebrated reality.
Section 6. Global Transformation and Purpose.
Now it's time to bring all of these distinct themes together. We've looked at the body, the virtues, and the natural world, synthesizing what all of this means for her overarching mission of global transformation. So the crucial point is that these aren't just random poetic musings, not at all. They form a rigid, highly functional framework for learning, advising, and enacting global change. Culture is a tutor. We have to let society teach us before we arrogantly try to change it. Counsel is a mat, meaning advice is foundational, it's something you sit on and ground yourself with. Speech has season, because the brilliant strategist knows exactly when to speak up and when to remain silent. Field is a subject. Every single environment you enter requires deep, rigorous study. Guys, this is the playbook of a masterful change agent.
I want to leave you with these two incredibly resonant lines from her piece to wrap up our explainer today. Green as a nation, excellence has plate. It leaves us with a really provocative final thought. If greenery represents growth, life, and flourishing development, well, then it takes an entire nation, a massive collective effort to actually achieve it. And excellence has plate. Reminds us that true excellence is something that must be intentionally served up. It definitely doesn't just happen by accident. So the question I leave you with is this: how are you applying your skills, your virtues, and your prudence to cultivate excellent greenery in your own sphere of influence? Think about it. Thanks for exploring this amazing mind with me today.